and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2023-2024 year. For those who may not know me, I'm Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. During our fall 2023 semester, we resumed our in-person ACE discipline meetings at the Penn Highlands Richland campus. There, our college liaisons were able to hold live sessions with our ACE instructors to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines that you teach. While we understand that it is not always possible for teachers to attend the live meetings, these discussions were recorded so those absent can gain the benefit of the event. Please enjoy the recording of your annual discipline-specific activity, and we look forward to working with you in the fall and hope you can join us in the next ACE discipline meeting. Thank you.
So, I have to go shut the door. Just don't have it. So this is the classroom I usually teach out. So I figured if I can talk out of it, I'll be more comfortable with you guys, and we can actually just go back and forth. My expectation for this is focused on our CIT 100. And right now, we go through and we teach, as you know, all the Microsoft Office products. And AI has hit the market hard in a lot of different areas. And one of the things I wanted to go through was make sure we're all up to speed on some of the things that it's doing to either the learning side, the tools themselves. But what I have here is an example. My daughter, who graduated from Pitt, Maine, about 6 years ago. She's in a job and she's working for Bear, but she's moving through different experiences. And as one of the managers she has said, hey, I need a presentation on this topic for the rest of the executive management group. And from my experience, I'm not a teacher by trade. I've worked in industry. I got out of UPJ and I've worked over at Concurrent Technologies from 91 to 2011. And then I did some work for myself, etc. I came here the month before COVID, or the week before COVID hit, and I started working full time. So that was an interesting transition into teaching. But to do a presentation, PowerPoint was always the fallback. And you had to be aware of, don't put too much stuff on PowerPoint, don't overload it, stay consistent, make your themes. And that was just on the job kind of training. This is what she did about a few weeks ago.
Welcome to our animated journey into the world of enterprise architecture. Imagine a vast city filled with countless businesses, big and small, striving to succeed in a dynamic and competitive world. But wait! Without proper planning, chaos can take over. Businesses might not work together efficiently, leading to confusion and inefficiency. This is where enterprise architecture comes into play. Meet our hero, the enterprise architect, armed with a blueprint for success.
My mission is to align the business and technology strategies.
The enterprise architect ensures that all the different parts of a business connect to a central core, like gears in a well-oiled machine. They collaborate with the IT department to build an efficient technology infrastructure. They manage and secure the flow of data, ensuring the right information is available at the right time. They optimize business processes, streamlining workflows for maximum productivity. They keep an eye on the horizon, aligning business strategies with technological capabilities. And, of course, they protect the business from potential threats with robust security measures. The enterprise architect harnesses the power of cloud services to make businesses more agile. Working together, the enterprise architect and their team create a unified, future-proof ecosystem. The result? A well-organized city where businesses thrive, employees collaborate seamlessly, and customers are delighted. Thanks to the enterprise architect's vision and strategic planning, businesses can reach new heights. And so, we've reached the end of our journey into the world of enterprise architecture. Remember, in this rapidly changing world, enterprise architecture remains the cornerstone of success.
Okay. That took her a morning, maybe an hour and a half from start to finish, to put that together. And I'm like, wait a second. I've seen this sort of effort contracted by a team to put something together. And this was a draft. This wasn't her final version. She put this together and sent it off to them and said, here's my draft, what do you think? And she was expecting feedback. So I asked her, what did you do? And I have to check my phone just to make sure I get this right. Because I just asked her for an overview. She said, I used ChatGPT to generate a script. I then took that script that had words and suggested scenes into a tool called Clipchamp. Microsoft just released it, like a few days before she used it. In Clipchamp, she used voice to text to generate the narration that was using the script that ChatGPT wrote. And she found the video clips and pieced everything together, adding the music and transitions. How would we teach that? She did it because she just happened to be sitting in the right place where these things came together, and she was curious, I guess. We hear about how AI is influencing things, but we're hearing from the classroom's perspective. Has AI hit you guys in any way? Are you worried about AI? Cheating. People doing their assignments. Yeah. If they did their assignment like this, would you know AI was involved? You know? So
what about with that Clipchamp, do you own that? Do they own that? I mean,
you own it. Sure, it's just like a file. Clipchamp is just another Microsoft product that's available through Office 365 to the normal users, but for us to get it here on campus, it has to go through some hoops for them to let it in and do a couple other things and make it all the way into our Office 365. So I can't even use it as a teacher yet, but as an individual, I can go out and mess with it.
Mhm.
So I have a couple links here at the end to talk about Clipchamp. I think this got included, or should have gotten included in your booklet or something. There was some printout. If they printed anything, it should have been this. If they didn't print it, that's okay. It's a PDF.
Yeah, we've done so.
Okay, well, they said that it would be, but that's okay. Trying to get this to slide. This was just AI that's being built into Office 365. So it's going to start influencing what we build. It's getting built into the back end of it. So you would be letting AI look at your email traffic and make suggestions for you based upon what's coming through. Should you have a meeting? Should you do this? Should you respond back? AI is being integrated like an assistant now, which from my perspective, have any of you used ChatGPT? Have you looked? Scott, what'd you find?
I just play with it, you know, we had an in-service and we had to kind of just get through there, and I really just go in there to make sure, you know, like on the back end, so no one's doing English papers.
Yeah.
You have to understand the tool some,
Right, yeah,
to be able to deflect or understand what they can be doing. I've gone through and I've experimented with ChatGPT. Similar reasons. Teaching a programming class. Can the students ask the tool to write a program for them? In my experience, the hardest language that I could throw at ChatGPT is one called LabVIEW. I don't expect any of you to understand or to know this language. It's Mac-based. It's completely graphical. You draw, and you drop a while loop is an actual picture of a loop, and you put things inside of it that are more drawings. And you hit run, and it'll run the loop and do things, and it moves information by wire that are wired into different components. I've used this early on in my career. I asked ChatGPT, write me a program that does this in LabVIEW. It can't. LabVIEW is graphical. It responded back, paragraph by paragraph description of how to write the program that I asked it to write. It told me what to do. Couldn't show it to me, but it told me what to do. So the tool has the ability to use it like an assistant. Ask it for something, but double check what you get. Any of you guys into genealogy? My wife is. I experimented on ChatGPT with genealogy. I was asking it questions about the family tree. I said, tell me something that, you know, follow my tree back and tell me something interesting. And it came back with this whole story about my family tree going through back into Johnstown, 1900 something, fencing company and doing all these things. And I'm like, I never knew any of this. And I asked my wife about it, and she's like, hold on a second, let's look at that. And it gave me the names. What it did, it was matching on first names, not last names. It was trying to find something relevant to Johnstown, and it made a mapping that actually crossed over in somebody's first name. And then went down their tree and created, and said it was mine. Like, you have to be careful what you ask, because it's just trying to infer information. It's just a logical comparison of data. How much data you give it becomes how dangerous it can be. So the AI side of it. Students, whenever I ask them about AI, they said, well, you can always try to confuse it, put bad data out there, and see what happens. You know, we worry about students making their footprint in the world. Well, what happens if they purposely now start putting stuff out there that is false about them, so that the AI systems aren't connecting things back correctly? Strange ways to game the system. But as we look through this, was more or less something to take away and look at, just to say, they've pointed this tool at large amounts of data. And it's just pulling in patterns, it's just making connections. But they're doing the same thing in companies that have been collecting your data. They'll give you all kinds of information. We give our healthcare providers all kinds of information. They're using this in the background, because whenever I was not at CTC and I wasn't here, my brother and I were working our own business as Then software development for some people. One of them happened to be a healthcare and insurance company. And they're literally working with other insurance companies, not sharing your personal information, but comparing the data sets of all of this data and looking for patterns. They're looking for things that they can use to be the equivalent of what's going on with marketing, how it's focused. If you mention the word recreational vehicle, next week you're going to be getting something in the mail about an RD. It literally happened to us driving home one day. My wife and I were talking in the car. We have little Android phones apparently listening to us. By the time we got home, there were ads showing up talking about something that we mentioned. It's like the amount of data that's out there is amazing. It's affecting things from a security perspective. What do we deal with from a security perspective with the classes we're teaching in CIT 100? You worry about them logging in with the correct email or the username and password. You don't care that they're the owner of that PowerPoint slide so much as there is information that you can check. You can go back and see whatever personal information was entered in it. There's so much going on that we're not even sure what the patterns are that they're making connections to. Some of them are useful, some of them are wrong, some of them are dangerous. AI, we understand, I think, what the technology is. I just heard today that AI is doing or Microsoft is doing something called deepfakes on purpose. They're giving everybody access to some software that allows you to create an avatar to speak. So what we just saw, put an avatar that you get to say, pick this image of somebody, make them say this. And that's hitting the market right now. It's going to become, what we've been used to is you have to take it with a grain of salt. You can't believe it unless you were there. And that becomes even questionable sometimes. Microsoft is using AI built into Bing. Microsoft's using AI built into the products that they're selling. The online cloud, because of the amount of data that's going through, it just makes sense to be able to compare and use and look at AI associated to it. So the PDF that was attached is just meant for you guys to look over those concepts. Image, speech, just creating an assignment or solving an assignment is just the tip of the iceberg of what's coming, what can be done. But I don't see it as a threat. I see it as a tool. I see it as an assistant that we have to figure out how to step up to and make them use it effectively, as opposed to solving the problems we're asking right now. How do you answer this question? You have to take the information that's on the internet now and put it into some useful way, and we have to come up with better questions. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's still more to that, but I had a couple different links here. This is referring to AI as a co-pilot. If this will play.
100 years from now, we're going to look back on this moment and say that was the beginning of the truly digital era.
You know, in the past 3 years, we've seen and experienced the biggest changes to work in our lifetime. We also have seen a proliferation of data and apps and time spent in meetings.
The patterns, the practices of work, they've kind of turned us all into clerks. We have to service an inbox before we can ever get to creating something that's exciting.
AI is going to free us from a lot of those mundane tasks.
It's your real-time collaborator that helps you answer questions, complete tasks, and do your day-to-day work more efficiently than ever before.
The whole concept of creation is flipped, where instead of staring at a blank canvas, you give a human prompt and suddenly, boom, within a second, content has been created for you on your canvas.
It can help me more quickly do the things I don't love doing and actually do them better. And it can inspire me to create new things.
You can give the model a meeting transcript and understand the key points that were talked about or get the action items. That's like the first step in your conversation with it.
It makes it so you can run your operations more efficiently, improve your employee experience. It makes it so you can improve the customer experience. Those three things define just about every business on earth. And this AI improves all three dimensions.
So you're able to use this AI to reason over all the information that you work with in a very private, trusted, and responsible way.
It's not just a new way of doing the old things. It's an entirely new way of thinking about work. And really, it's a way of thinking about work that will bring the joy back into it for everyone.
Corporate citizenship. Giving the power of AI to everyone. Microsoft is working on that. Productivity, AI, and 365 Copilot. This is the other feature of it that they're rolling out with 365 as another subscription component, I think. Copilot will add some of those AI features into this tool. So, the last two here was talking about Clipchamp and the thing that my daughter used at the beginning. It's a video editor that has features that we would have loved to have had when we were doing stuff years ago, but to have this discussion, what I wanted to do was talk. I was hoping for more people, but we just got one. So, how does this change things?
Eliminates a lot of jobs.
You think so?
Yeah,
But what they're saying is, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
I think it'll eliminate like the entry level, the higher, you have to be able to take the data, work with it and push it out correctly. But all the people getting the data, it seems like you can just
Pushed off to the system to
Yeah.
collect and got it. And what I'm was pushing back on wasn't what I've heard them say, and them being Microsoft or whoever, is it's not eliminating a job, it's allowing you to do something more creative than the grunt work. Well, yeah, but you usually I started as an intern, I know. You have to start and work your way into the environment of what's going on. You don't just start off saying, oh, I'm gonna be more creative. You need to know what you need to do. And that's usually gained by those first experiences. So I do not disagree with you. I do agree that it's changing that market for students. How do we deal with that? How do we get our students now who are seeing this happen prepared? Because those elementary school kids that are using phones are only moments away from using AI. And they're gonna be comfortable with it. And they're gonna be having it do stuff for them that we're still worried about. So, transitioning, we have to now look at what the jobs need more than just preparing them how to use the tools. Other ideas? Didn't think it was gonna be so much better.
Well, I know, like in classes, I've totally changed. I mean, like, a normal research paper is like out. So I've really moved through a lot of projects that, I don't wanna say are cheap proof, but there are steps and activities.
They're tying it back, you're tying it back to they have to do something personal and creative.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like, when we cover like, search engine optimization, whatever, like I've been reading industry stuff that the AI is making better, lists than anybody can. So that's an example where, like, yeah, it makes sense to just
Let's pull it.
move that. And you still need, like you said, you need to screen because you'll get like a real wild card term. You're like, how did they come up with that? But 99% of it is spot on. So.
You have to overview it, you have to. If I wasn't teaching and I was still focused on a small business, my perspective of AI is, this is the best, cheapest, free assistant I'm ever going to get. And I can make as many of them as I want. Go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. Now I just have to oversee what came back and put it together. So I was saying at the beginning of this, asking students or looking into coding. Yes, it can write code, but it cheats. You ask it, make me a program that does this. And it starts off all well and good. At some spots, it starts stubbing out. It'll go so far and then it won't finish the details. It'll leave it for somebody else to do apparently. But it'll make enough effort to make you look like you got something useful. Until you go to implement it, then you're like, oh, I gotta go fix that or go add that. And I think technically you could keep prompting it, you could keep asking it for more details and have it build something. But sometimes those connections get lost. I ask it to build it this way. And for example, a network-based game, something that has to communicate with a client server. There's a lot of different technologies that do that. A lot of different technology libraries that you can bring into a programming language. It might start off on one library and then inadvertently switch to another one because that's what it found the information on the internet. So you get a mix mash of something coming out of it that looks good, but it doesn't function because you have to clean it up.
I liked what the one lady said about not having a blank canvas, like already starting with something. Because, a lot of it just saving time doing all, like you said, the grunt work or the, low level stuff. I mean, that would just eliminate so much, you were gonna tweak it to how you want it, but, it might be better than sitting there writing 10,000 lines of code rather than, starting off with, just 7,000 and then fixing the other three.
Right. Something else, growing up, I would say I still fit the mold of what computer science students today want to do. I wanted to make a game, but I found out early on, I don't have the artistic skill to draw anything appropriate for the game. I am the type of engineer, software engineer, that I can talk for an hour about that. And I'm literally saying, it's just a stick figure, and we had a whole conversation. We didn't get beyond drawing the stick figure. A group of us, a team of us, were working on something, we fleshed out a whole problem, and that's all we drew. But I can't draw, a science fiction background, a this or that. But now I can ask one of these tools, give me a background that has this in it, or that describes this concept. Here's the version of it. No, give me a different version. Here's another version of it. Is that putting artists out of work? Maybe. But it now enables me to do something. I could now make a game that says, draw me a 24 by 24 pixel image of a spaceship. Show it with this, or show it with guns, or show it with that. I don't have to hire somebody to go do this, and those tools can generate stuff fast now. I don't know if it's gonna change the market for the better, but it can move some of these things along. But if you're an artist, you may now have to worry that people aren't gonna come to you as frequently.
But it could help the person who can draw,
Yes,
create a game.
so it's just shifting
Yeah.
things. And that can move forward and that'll free up something else. And somehow my daughter is a great artist. And it's not the one that did this, but she loves to draw. And I can't wait till Thanksgiving when she comes home and I can say, I want you to draw something. And I'm gonna see how it compares and use some of the tools against her background and see what you get. So my thoughts, I wanted to get us towards, if these changes are coming, what's gonna happen with CIT 100? How do we handle that class? When students are expected to do stuff like that now? How do we handle not just teaching everyday Microsoft? We have to step up to Microsoft that's enhanced.
Well, people told me 20 years ago, keyboarding would go away. Because of all the voice to chat and
Yeah.
guess what, we're still typing, so. I mean, I don't think it'll go away, I think you just got to do both.
So add in some of these new features, but how soon? What's the runway we have? Are we already behind? Or do we have to start? You know, by next summer, you should have something figured out to add in. But by next summer doesn't mean you get into the next classes. That's almost a year off yet.
Yeah, I'm researching new curriculum and we're on a 7-year cycle.
Right.
Wow.
How
So
do
I'm
you get that?
asking like for my stuff in December that I'll get next school year and be using for 7 years. But my principal did say, we realize that your department changes, so sometimes we have to.
My Microsoft will do most of it.
Right.
That's just the concept don't change,
Right.
it's just, I guess.
The Visual Basic class I teach, I'm still using the book that says Office or Microsoft Studio 2017 because the book is great.
Yeah, that's why I can't get rid of my book.
Yeah.
They say, oh, do you want to know?
Studio has evolved a little bit, but I can do everything that book has in this version. And it walks the students through just the right amount of effort each time we meet. And I can't, unless I rewrite the book, I can't get away from it.
I was just, the challenge for me with CIT 100 has always been that, they're not necessarily paying attention to what they're doing, they're just following step by step. And then when they have to do something on their own, they have no idea how to do what it is. So this, in a way, it's gonna require more critical thinking. Yeah, that's a bad word. I know. It's gonna require, I think, maybe them to realize what they're doing. You have to tell the tools what to do, but you're at least thinking about what you're doing instead of just like click here and like enter this, like it's.
Yeah.
Well, you can always combat that by just giving them the end product and say, here, make this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that.
That's what I do.
Yeah. That's when I realized I can't do what they.
Yeah, I try to combine a little bit.
That's, that same approach, that's why coming up with that doesn't work with Cengage. Have you used Cengage? Have you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's the product?
That's the mind tap. We were talking about that yesterday.
Is there one for CIT?
For CIT 100, yes.
Yeah.
I use 1,000.
Okay, that's fine. That's a similar concept in the background, but Cengage is a tool that sat on top of some developers who thought one path through a process, wrote it in code, give it to you as a way to automate. And you all have students. I have students that didn't do it that way. There's, Microsoft gives you 6 different ways to
Yeah.
do something.
Right.
Cengage expects it,
Uh,
check this in this specific order so that I know that you got through and you can do it. It's the same, you know. If you can follow, I've read step 1A and I've done step 1A. I've read step 2, 3, 4, and I go do those. If you do that exactly, Cengage is really happy. But anytime the student thinks for themselves and says, you know what, I'm gonna start, I know how to draw this. That's where the instructor has to kick in and say, yeah, you did it. It looks the same. I don't care what Cengage you marked wrong. Why, check those different things if it makes sense. This tool during COVID was great. Because I didn't need the classroom to handle situations. I could say, here's an activity in Cengage. We can work through it, go work on it, come back, we can talk about it. Now I use it, if I'm not available, if something happens to me, I'll make an activity in Cengage for the students to do. But I'm still trying to do the hands-on, give them an example, work through it that way, and have that to fall back on. So Cengage has been used here. It is behind CIP 100 for all of the assignments. They're all mapped officially into the Cengage assignments. But they grew from older books. If you know what you're doing, I've seen other, as the ACE liaison, I've seen others give their students something that's useful for the school. We're gonna do Spirit Day. Here, make up something for Spirit Day. And they all get to build something useful using all the same skills. But it goes back to what you're saying. They had to think it through. They had to come up with the answer. They just didn't check it, step by step, follow it through. The step by step is good as a starting point. We have to get beyond that.
But my test out, they can do it from home, and I have to be in the lab, and so that's what I'll do, like, I'll be like, we're making a brochure this week. So we have to create, so they'll create that, and then if I miss a day, then like Thursday and Friday, I'll have test out days. If you've been there all week, you get to do your test out Thursday and Friday. If you miss days, then you can do what you missed, and then do your test out at home. So I like that part of it right now.
Okay.
And I try to give them practical things that they really don't see and test out, because it's click here, click there. But it's not, you can't really, it's hard to show that, so it's nice to test out, show some of the features. Some other features that they'll really use on the job or something, it doesn't show, so.
Okay, so I expect us to have to come up with some way to change what's being taught at the CIT 100 concept. I'm assuming that I'm hearing Google's doing the same thing. Google's pulling AI into their products. Google's got AI search enhanced products now. It's not going to go away. It's just going to become more embedded in things, and we're just dealing with it. I do find that there are times I think I would rather ask ChatGPT a question and get a result than trying to figure out the Google food to come up with the responses I knew were out there. Tell me something with this, my car's a 1987 and it has this problem. What do we get? So,
With the community college, is there an advisory board?
yes,
Do you meet with, hear what businesses or?
we've been focused on cybersecurity at our last meeting. Was, all the different issues that are coming up.
How often do you meet?
This semester we'll met twice. We'll met at the beginning and at the end. And I'm going to try and keep that so the frequency there between computer science and IT at least. There's enough stuff that changes that if we can get some feedback, we can keep trickling it all the way down to the high schools.
Yeah, and then, because we're not an approved program anymore for business, so we don't have the advisory board. So I missed that.
Oh.
Communication piece.
Yeah. Having access, but it's like pulling teeth on that side too. Getting someone who's in a business who's heads down trying to make something happen. If they're a small business, they're not stopping. If they're a big business, they might not be at the right level that you need.
Yeah.
So that's why working with, people with small businesses in the area has been nice. And having a background that I've been able to talk to some others who are working on it. So what do you guys think? What do you need? What should I be doing?
With AI. We gotta figure it out.
I'm going to try and focus some students. If I have a chance to get an intern, or if I have a chance to do some projects in class. To get some students to take a look at what they think the next steps are and how they can feed back to us. But I'm looking for any suggestions.
It has to be project based. You really can't. I mean, there's really no step by step.
Yeah. I mean, my example I started off with. If I can get my daughter to recreate that somehow. Is that showing someone how to do that? Is that wrong? Is that checking the box, or is that using the tools? We don't want another exact of that, but if it's open-ended enough, maybe I've combined this, and this, and you create something. But I know what was created there, I don't think I could have done. I would never have come up with that. And just to hear her say she did it in the morning.
It reminds me of something if I go to an amusement park or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, like I don't like marketing agents and started thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Could you use it in collaboration with other parts of the school? You know, like marketing or like advertising, or I mean, even like create, making like a play or something, those types of things like in English or, I mean, to like just branch out and hit, like in mathematics, you can do like actuary work or something,
I've been trying, and yeah, we are trying to do that more, and it's not just me. The English department and our media department, the guy who, Rick, who spoke to get everybody's attention. I've been working with those guys because we have the animatronic that we got. It's a Chuck E. Cheese kind of thing about this tall, and he's motivated. The English department used it as a proposal generator in their marketing class. What can we do with this? And they broke into 4 different groups. The media guy recorded it. We made it like the Shark Tank kind of thing. Made an event out of it that the students, we had judges come in and watch the presentations and go through that process. So we're trying to combine it. But there's so many different areas from AI's perspective to fit in.
I think just teaching AI, I mean, I don't know what you could actually, you almost have to break it down and use it for some kind of,
Some purpose.
yeah.
And that's, I know others are talking about AI in their discussions. But the one that I'd heard was, how do I update my, from our perspective of college students, how do I update my syllabus to include issues with AI? Do I let students use it? Do I care if they use it? Do I tell them not to use it? I mean, that's just trying to get the handle around what's moving now. I'm thinking, it's already gone. Yeah, let's figure out how to use it. So I like that train that you're on right now with come up with some uses for it and teach them how to. Not the use being have an English paper due. Let me write it for you. Or coding. Right.
You just triggered like my mind about our business ethics class. It's not even mentioned in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what business is. I mean, I don't know what the conversations are.
Whenever I first used it, I wanted to know similar question or answer that you had. Who owns it? If the AI generated, I asked the AI who owns it, and it said you do, because it can't own anything. The company itself put out whatever you generate with this is yours. But you're generating on their system, so more than likely, they also get to see it too. And it's in the background of whatever else they're doing.
What if like 6 or 7 people ask the same question? All of it?
Yeah. All depends on the answer you get, I guess, because it doesn't always give the same answer.
I was just playing with it and for intro to business, I had to create an assignment for our college level intro to business, but they wrote the assignment. And then I asked it to make the rubric for it. And then I asked it to basically do the assignment it created. And then I asked it to grade its work using the rubric it created. It gave itself a 76.
Wow, that reminds me of the fax machine feeding the copier. That's an interesting test to see what happens. Let it go through the process.
How many times did you ask it to?
I only did it once.
I should have let it run like 30 times.
Well, I don't know what else to go over other than we know the problem's here. It's something we're gonna get to see. You may get to see it differently because you're on the watch side of it and paying attention to what they're trying to do with it. We have to figure out, did they do that with AI? Or should they be doing that with AI?
Real story, another one.
The cheating, like I'm like at the point where I almost expected, like that's why I just have to find ways.
We actually I had 2 students, they're really bright students. They created their own religion using ChatGPT. They sat down and they just put it in, and they're both gifted students, and they come down for like enrichment, and they knew, like, hey, let's see what happens.
Sure.
And it was amazing.
I mean, I know that, on the side of things that it gets wrong, I asked it about a particular book that I've read. I said, give me a summary, talk to me about this book. And at first glance, oh yeah, okay. But whenever I read it deeper, like, where did you get that from? Because the book I picked, I like reading Star Trek novels. So I said, this particular Star Trek novel, tell me what's going on. And it came back and said, well, the Enterprise is doing this and the crew is, fighting this problem. And at first glance, that's all of their episodes. But the specifics of what was going on in the book, they missed. It was referring to a different book at that part. And I kept asking, he said, no, that's not in this book. This is in this book. Tell me that again. And it was, oh, you mean that? Okay, let me do that. And it would come back and it would try. And I had to try like 6 or 7 times. I still never got what I thought I would get. But on a side note,
It's not so easy.
I asked it to make a short biography write-up of myself. I pointed it to my LinkedIn. And I got back a bio that I couldn't have written. I liked it. Like, really? Yeah, well, I did do these things, but I would never have written it about. So a few word changes and I was happy with what it responded with. But I would never take anything directly from it and use it. I always think there's something that needs tweaked or switched up a little bit.
Have you tried the thing that's out there that tries to detect if it is an AI?
I haven't looked into it too much yet because I want to know what I'm feeding it first. Have you?
No, I was just curious.
There's something, again, just hit the market really recently that said it's very good at detecting it. And I'm like, how are they going to know? Because we can tell when students are writing above their level. Whenever they're using words and they don't talk like this. They don't ever demonstrate this. So we can sort of guess. So you can tell that to give me a response as a seventh grader, give me a response at this age level. And it's not going to respond like a college paper, it'll respond like a different paper. How is a tool going to check that on another tool? I don't see how you're ever gonna get that right. But
I had a student, she admitted this, it wasn't before my class. But she had it write a paper for some other class. And she told me she intentionally went in and like changed some words that were spelled correctly.
You did the right thing,
Yeah, and she intentionally made it worse, so that.
I can't be this good, I gotta make a mistake here and there.
I told the kids, that's how I can catch kids cheating all the time, because it's always being word wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you guys come up with any suggestions, anything else we can do to try and get through this, let me know. I'm gonna be checking with, as you said, advisory boards, I'm gonna be checking with students, I'm gonna be paying attention to my news feeds and seeing what's changing. And it's coming quick to make changes, but we have to get through somehow.
Or next year, like, we're already a year behind.
I don't know how this is gonna go over recording wise, but we've been on a camera and we've been recorded. We'll be, if you've, this is, have you guys used the meeting house before? It's sitting there in the corner. It will focus on whoever's talking down here, it'll do a 360 up top. That's fairly good with the audio, but every once in a while, if I turn my back to it, it doesn't know it. The AI had messed it up. In general, we have at least some background of what we just covered, so. If you need anything, if you wanted the links that I looked at, I can send them out to you. And
I wanna check out the show.
yeah. Okay.